I want to give a special shout out to all my patrons, my Bibliospran, Bibliohowlers, and Bibliomancers. Thank you so much for supporting my hobby and passion even more. It means so much to me. Hi everyone, Patek here. Today's video will be SFF Spotlight episode 15. And I predict that by the end of this year, I think the last episode of SFF Spotlight will be episode 18. So yeah, we're not too far from the end of SFF Spotlight for this year. But for those of you who are new here, SFF Spotlight is a series of videos where I talk about new cover reveals, new book news, new special editions, and also new noteworthy release within a set period of time. And for this video, this is for the past 2 weeks in the adult science fiction and fantasy genre. And just like usual, we have more than 20 topics to talk about, so I will just start immediately. And the first one is about Ted Williams' newest book in the Osten Ard saga. So recently, Dow Books and also Ted Williams announced that there will be 2 new books in the Osten Ard saga. And if I'm not mistaken, these 2 books will be a prequel taking place even before the time of the Dragonbone Chair, the first book in Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn trilogy. Now, I haven't read Osten Ard saga yet, and it is my priority to read the entirety of Osten Ard saga next year, and that includes Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn, and also The Last King of Osten Ard series. And this is what's stated on the announcement. The first of the 2 books scheduled for fall 2024 is The Splintered Sun. Set in Williams' beloved and well-known fantasy world of Osten Ard, The Splintered Sun follows the adventures of Robin Hood-esque figure Flan Elderwood and his band of misfit rebels in one of Osten Ard's oldest and strangest cities, Cranhere. The Splintered Sun is a fast-moving adventure that will thrill newcomers diving into the world of Osten Ard for the first time, while weaving together many parts of previously unrevealed Osten Ard history for all the readers who are eager to delve into the pre-Dragonbone Chair history of Hernister and Erkinland. So yeah, here's hoping that I can actually catch up to all the released books in the Osten Ard saga before this book, The Splintered Sun, is out. And the next spotlight goes to the Jasmine Throne by Tasha Suri, the first book in the Burning Kingdom trilogy. So the list of winners for the World Fantasy Awards have been announced, and the winner for the best novel is Jasmine Throne by Tasha Suri, and I think that is an incredibly impressive achievement. I haven't read the Burning Kingdom trilogy yet. I think the last book is slated to be released next year, and at this rate, I think I might as well just wait for the entire trilogy to be released before reading the entire trilogy. But yeah, I'm keeping this on my radar. I already own the Jasmine Throne and also the sequel, Oleander's Sword, for quite a while now, and yeah, I think I will read the entire trilogy once the trilogy is finished, I think pretty soon. And now let's move on to the next section, and that is to talk about special editions. And the first one is for Of Blood and Fire Special Edition by Ryan Cahill. So the details have finally been revealed. Of Blood and Fire is the first book in the Bound and the Broken series by Ryan Cahill, and this will be published by the Broken Binding Press. This is not done through Kickstarter, and the general sale for this edition will begin on the 27th of November. The price will be £55, and it will begin shipping in January. There will be 2 full interior artwork by Randy Vargas and Felix Ortiz, and then 6 black and white interior illustrations by Felix Ortiz. I personally think the Broken Binding Press will be something truly incredible in the future, because this, as the Broken Binding mentioned, will be focused on publishing special edition for self-published fantasy books. And I think, yeah, that is amazing, because most special edition are usually focused on traditionally published books. And if the first book published by the Broken Binding Press already look this good, it is suffice to say that I am very much excited to see what's next. And moving on to the next topic, again, this is by Broken Binding, and this is for their subscription for the month of January until the month of March. So the Broken Binding has announced that they will release their own edition for the Great Labeler collection by Joe Abercrombie. This is the standalone trilogy that takes place after the First Law trilogy, consisting of Best Served Cold, The Heroes, and Red Country. Yeah, I am so looking forward to seeing this edition, and I guess this means that I will have even more Joe Abercrombie's books on my bookshelves. And hey, I'm not complaining about this. And the next 3 spotlight is basically just a reminder that these Kickstarter campaigns are about to end pretty soon. And the first one is The Pale Kings by Ben Galley, and I think this one is about to end 2 days from now. So yeah, if you're interested in getting yourself a copy of the written and also Pale Kings Illustrated Edition, well, this is your chance. And the next one is for The Sword of Kaigen by M.L. Wang. The Kickstarter campaign for The Sword of Kaigen is about to end in less than a week, and I think so far it has about $160,000 pledge, and I think that is amazing. I hope that it can reach $200,000. So yeah, if you're looking to get yourself a special edition for The Sword of Kaigen, make sure to get it before the Kickstarter campaign ends. And the last reminder is for Soul Illustrated Edition by Jacqui Davis and Grierson. So I have showcased this book on my channel plenty of times now. I think this is so far one of the most beautiful self-published fantasy book that I own. And yeah, I think there is still about less than 2 weeks before the Kickstarter campaign for this one ends. And recently, the authors have announced that they will release new illustrations for the book if there are more backers. So yeah, make sure to check it out before the Kickstarter campaign ends. And the last spotlight for special edition goes to Revenge by AC Cobble. So the cover reveal, the full cover reveal for Revenge has been revealed by the author on Twitter, and this is the second book in Wahrheit series. The first book is titled Conspiracy. I haven't started reading this series yet, but I am certainly interested in reading this series. Again, the cover art is done by Daniel Kamarudin and the design is done by Sean T. King. The Kickstarter for this one will begin on the 29th of November, and just like Emaneska series by Ben Galley, you can get yourself a copy of the first book through this Kickstarter campaign for the second book. So if you're interested in getting yourself a copy of Wahrheit and you miss your chance for the first book, yeah, this is your chance. It is still possible to get yourself a copy of Conspiracy and Revenge in this next Kickstarter campaign. Now let's move on to the next section of SFF Spotlight, and that is to talk about cover reveals. And yeah, there are a lot of cover reveals in the past 2 weeks. I think about 9 or 10 that I will showcase in this episode of SFF Spotlight. And now let's begin with one of my most anticipated book of next year, and that is the full cover reveal for Lightbringer by Pierce Brown. The art director for this one is Regina Flatt, the cover designer is Flat Art Studio, and the Pegasus illustration is done by Jonathan Bartlett. And yeah, this is book 6 of the Red Rising Saga, one of my favorite series of all time, and at this moment it is still my favorite sci-fi series of all time. And this is what Pierce Brown has to say regarding this book. Packed within this beastly tome is an adventure spanning from the threshold of the sun to the dim worlds of shadow and dust. Twists, turns, space battles, labyrinths, poisons, carvelings, war, duels, savagery, hope, fear, redemption, desolation, minotaurs, pinks, foxes, and friendship. Writing books so stuffed with tricks and treats takes time, and I've never wanted to compromise quality for speed, maddening as it can be to both you and to me. And that is why the release date has shifted to July 25th, 2023. I think so far, out of all the books in the Red Rising Saga, this one is my favorite cover art so far. I mean, that Pegasus and also the black background looks absolutely stunning, and I think the final finished product of the hardcover will look really good. I cannot wait. I am so looking forward to reading this one, and I plan to reread the entire Red Rising Saga in preparation for Lightbringer next year. And the next spotlight is again for one of my most anticipated books, and it is the cover reveal to the Shadow Casket by Chris Wooding. This is the second book to the Darkwater Legacy trilogy, and yeah, this is the sequel to the Ember Blade. The Ember Blade is one of my favorite books, and I think I read the Ember Blade in 2018. I was one of the first reviewers for this book, and it's been insane. It's been quite insane waiting for this book. It's been 4 years since I read the Ember Blade, and by next year it will be 5 years. So yeah, it has been quite a while, and I plan to do a read along on my Discord for the Ember Blade on January, and hopefully for the Shadow Casket on February, which is the release date for the Shadow Casket. Just like Lightbringer, my excitement is pretty much on the same level for this one. And the next cover reveal is for Fractal Noise by Paolini, Christopher Paolini. This is another book in the Fractal verse, just like To Sleep in a Sea of Stars, and honestly, I'm not too much of a fan of this cover art. I mean, this cover art is obviously done using AI art, and I'm not against AI art, but for traditional publisher, I actually expect them to actually commission an artist, especially considering the amount of expense and budget they have. Personally speaking, to have an art commission and paid by traditional publisher is one of the benefits of getting traditionally published. If this becomes a standard in the publishing, and I think at this rate it will, I personally think it actually removes one of the benefits of being traditionally published. That's just my opinion though, and to be fair, as far as AR art goes, I think this one looks quite good, unlike the one for Malazan in the Path to Ascendancy. Yeah, that one was just awful in my opinion. And the next cover reveal is for the Combat Codes, again by Alexander Darwin. So the Combat Codes was originally a self-published book, and now it has been traditionally published by Orbit. It will be released next year, and the new cover art is done by Peter Bollinger and designed by Loren Panepinto. This is the first book in the Combat Code Saga, and yeah, I've read the entire trilogy. I think the second book is the best of the trilogy, but I've heard from Alexander Darwin that there will be new editing and also new additional stuff put into this trilogy for this traditionally published edition. As far as cover art goes, I think this one is a totally different kind of style compared to the one done by Felix Ortiz for the self-published edition. But you know what, I think this one also looks very striking, and I think it will get many people attention. Moving on to the next topic, Art of Prophecy by Wesley Chu, which is the first book in the War Art saga, which I've heard many great things about from reviewers I trust, like Elliot Brooks and also Brenda, will be published in the UK next year by Daphne Press. The cover art is still done by Tran Nguyen, so yeah, this is the same cover art as the US edition, which is available already, but there will be a new design by Rose Dottir. I already love the cover art for the US edition, and so I'm happy that it is applied once more to the UK edition, but I think the new design actually looks better. I hope that the Daphne Press edition will actually include the super gorgeous map as the end papers as well. We still have 3 cover reveals to talk about, and now let's talk about Anna Smith-Sparks' newest book. With the cover art done by Stas Borodin, this is A Woman of the Sword. So Anna Smith-Sparks has mentioned that A Woman of the Sword is an epic fantasy seen through the eyes of an ordinary woman. Lide is a daughter, a wife, a mother, and a great warrior born to fight. Her sword is hungry for killing, her right hand is red with blood. War is very much a woman's business, but war is not kind to women, and war is not kind to mothers and their sons. Anna Smith-Sparks is very much well known for her first Grimdark trilogy that begins with Court of Broken Knives. I haven't read this series yet, but I know that there are plenty of die-hard fans of Anna Smith-Sparks' first trilogy, so if you don't know about this news, well, now you know. The last 2 cover reveals are both for self-published fantasy books, and the first one is for a debut novel by James Lloyd Dulin. The title is No Heart for a Thief, and this is the first book in Malitu series. The cover art is done by Felix Ortiz, and beyond that, I haven't checked further into what this book is about. But any new fantasy book with the cover art done by Felix Ortiz, I think is worth taking a look. At the very least for a new cover art by Felix Ortiz, and the release date for this one is January 24th, 2023. And the last cover reveal on today's episode of SFF Spotlight is for A Dance of Fang and Claw by Philip C. Quaintrell. This is the 3rd and final book in the Ranger Archives trilogy, which is a trilogy that takes place before the Echo Saga by, again, the same author, Philip C. Quaintrell. If you have been following my channel this year, then you will know that I've been enjoying my time so much reading through the Echo Saga series, and I'm really near the end of the 9-book series in the Echo Saga. And after that, I would try to get through the entirety of the Ranger Archives next year, because Philip C. Quaintrell is a super productive author, and I think he's currently working on another prequel series to the Echo Saga, which takes place even before the Ranger Archives, like 1,000 years before the events of the Echo Saga. So I think I have a bit of an idea of what kind of stories he will tell here, because there is a lot of lore, a lot of deep lore involved in the Echo Saga. So yeah, I'm looking forward to diving through all of them. And just like all the books in the world of Verda, the cover art to The Dance of Fang and Claw is done by Chris McGrath. And the release date for this book is December 2nd, and that means he will succeed at releasing the entire trilogy within this year. Amazing, just amazing, Philip. Before we move on to the final section of noteworthy release, new noteworthy release, let's talk a bit about new TV show and new trailer announcement. So the first one is that Universal Pictures has announced that they will adapt A Deadly Education by Naomi Novik into a TV show. I'm quite surprised that not too many people talk about this one. Naomi Novik is a very popular author in the fantasy landscape, and although I haven't read Scholomance trilogy yet, I think there is a good chance, based on what I've heard anyway, I think there's a good chance that this one could work really well being adapted into a TV show. And after loving Spinning Silver so much, I think I will have to give A Deadly Education or the entire Scholomance trilogy a try. And the next one is finally the 2nd season of Sandman by Neil Gaiman has been announced. It is honestly quite crazy that it took this long for the 2nd season of the Sandman TV show to be announced, to be greenlit. I mean, pretty much all I've heard about this show, myself included, is that this is an incredible show. And yeah, I love watching the 1st season of Sandman, especially the first 5 episodes, and I look forward to watching the 2nd season of this one. I hope that it will be even better than the 1st season. And moving on to the next topic, the teaser for Kindred's show adaptation is out now, and it looks incredible. I've read Kindred a long time ago, like I don't know, more than 20 years ago, I think. I don't remember too much about the novel anymore, but I look forward to doing a second read of Kindred, hopefully within next year. But yeah, the teaser looks really good in my opinion, and I think this is worth taking a look. And then we have the new trailer for Witcher Blood Origins, and for this one, frankly speaking, I've been kind of losing interest in the TV show adaptation ever since hearing Henry Cavill's departure from the TV show. But well, knowing that Michelle Yeoh is actually in this TV show adaptation, I think that's reason enough to actually watch with The Witcher Blood Origins, for me anyway. And finally, the topic of TV show adaptation, this is not for a book but for a video game adaptation, and this is The Last of Us. Yes, the release date for The Last of Us TV show adaptation has been announced, and this surprisingly will happen much sooner than I thought. The first episode is going to premiere at the 15th of January, and I'm so looking forward to watching this. Everything I've heard and what I've seen so far from this TV show adaptation looks amazing. It really seems like the TV show adaptation will actually do the game justice. And if that ends up happening, I won't be surprised because the director is the director behind Chernobyl. And now let's move on to the final section of today's SFF Spotlight, and that is to talk about new noteworthy release. And the first one obviously will goes to The Last Metal by Brandon Sanderson. The US release date is actually today, and the UK release date is the day after tomorrow. So if you follow me on Goodreads and Twitter, then I think you will know that I finished The Last Metal last week. And yeah, I have finally finished my review of The Last Metal. There is a lot to talk about in The Last Metal, and yeah, it actually lived up to my incredibly high expectation. I love The Last Metal so much, and I will post my review on this channel the day after tomorrow as well. But for those of you who are Mistborn, Brandon Sanderson or Cosmere fans, well, you are certainly in for a treat, and you can start your journey today. And the next noteworthy release is for Empire of Exiles by Erin M. Evans. I've heard only great things about this book, the first book in the books of the Usurper, and I think this is a murder mystery involving Archivist and also Scribe as the main characters. I think it sounds super interesting, especially because I love the map and the world building that the author has showcased on her Twitter account. And yeah, the map and cover art is done by Francesca Beralt, which in my opinion is the best cartographer in fantasy. Just the best in my opinion. I haven't read this book yet, but if you've seen my November TBR, I will try my best to actually fit this book to be read this month. But yeah, I think that will be a hard task, but we will see. If I don't end up getting to Empire of Exile within the remaining of this year, then yeah, definitely within 2023. And then the next noteworthy release is for Swords Elegy by Brian D. Anderson. This is the third and final book in the Sorcerer's Song trilogy, which in my opinion is a super underrated trilogy. I love the Bard's Blade, and yeah, the Bard's Blade doesn't get a lot of positive reception. The reception for the Bard's Blade is mostly mixed, but personally I loved it so much. And the second book, although not as good as the Bard's Blade, was still entertaining. And yeah, I love the cover art for the entire trilogy done by Felix Ortiz as well. I look forward to reading this one, but I think I might have to actually do a second read of the Bard's Blade and the second book first before getting to this one, because I forgot so many details about this trilogy already. And finally, the last noteworthy release and the last topic on today's SFF Spotlight is for the release again of Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. It has been an insane journey for Legends and Lattes. I mean, the self-published fantasy edition was actually released in February, and somehow 9 months after the first self-published fantasy edition was released, the traditionally published edition of Legends and Lattes is now out. And yeah, I think there's a bonus, a short story included in the traditionally published edition, and now you can get yourself a copy of Legends and Lattes if you haven't read it. And yeah, Legends and Lattes is one of my favorite books of the year, and yeah, I think this is a cozy and wholesome book that I think many fantasy readers will enjoy. So yeah, that's it for today's SFF Spotlight video. I know that's a lot of topics to take into, and I actually already exclude some topics from, well, every SFF Spotlight video because there are just too much topic just in the adult science fiction and fantasy genre. As always, for those of you who are watching this to the end, do tell me which news excites you the most. And yeah, as always, thank you so much for watching and thank you for your support. Bye bye. Lastly, I want to say thank you so much once again to all my patrons who keep on supporting me.